Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about a show I actually never thought I would ever talk about, only because I particularly don't really like this show all that much. Like, I watch it every week when it's on, and I think it's okay, but there's just something about it that doesn't have me connecting with it, but I still watch it, and there's some aspects of the show that I find interesting, but it's not as good as the parent show. And even the parent show's not even that good no more. But that show is Fear the Walking Dead. And yeah, they just did that. And I can't believe they did that. Like, this person was literally their best character since they reformatted the show. Like, people really enjoy this character. This character was like really cool. Like, this character was just such a nice person. This character never flip-flopped like so many of the other Walking Dead characters. And more importantly, this character was never lame or boring. Seriously, they could have killed so many of their characters they have on the show right now that are so lame, that are so boring, and so uninteresting, and they go and kill this character. And that pisses me off because this is what The Walking Dead likes to do, all these showrunners and writers. They like to kill off the best characters or the most interesting characters, and then they keep the dull and boring people around. And it's like, why? Why do you do that? Why do you keep the boring people around? And it's like, are they wanting us to kind of like the boring character? Well, if so, then write better material for them people and actually have them do or say something, not just lag around in the background, hanging around more interesting characters. And they do this crap all the stinking time. They do it especially in The Walking Dead. People hate the character of Beth. Beth never did anything the entire time she was on the show other than cry, whine and complain, or just like take care of Judith, the baby, when she was a baby. And other than that, she was just lagging around in the background. And she never did anything until the season 4 when they separated. We got to see more of her personality. She was just kind of like, screw it, I'm going to start rebelling. And then she gets kidnapped. And then it's like, well, gee, that was for nothing. And then the fifth season, she finally started having some backbone. She finally started having some skills. She finally started to try to survive, to keep herself alive. And then what do? Kill her for shock value. And it's like, the only reason why they killed her is because fans hated her. And that's only because the writing sucked for her. And then, so it's like, once they made her interesting, then they go and kill her. That don't make no sense. I was pissed off when they killed Andrea. I really like Andrea, even though Andrea was a little bit of an antagonist, but she was still a protagonist. Now, her character arc in third season sucked because the showrunner hated the actress, so he just made that character suck, and then he killed her off. And it's like, ugh, stop doing that crap, man. She was actually a fighter. She was a survivalist. And my God, just look at her. She's awesome. This woman is gorgeous. And then it's just like, don't kill off your good characters, or in another case, don't kill off your interesting characters. Now, I'm kind of forgetting these girls' name. I think one of them name is Mika. And the other one, I can't remember her name. It might be Kelly. I'm not sure. I'm not at the computer right now. Like, when I do these reviews, it's all on memory and stuff from stuff I remember. So it's that's why sometimes my reviews sound the way they do. And it takes me a while to get stuff out because I'm relying on my memory. And so I forget her name. The actress who plays her name is Brighton. God, I forgot. Well, she used to have blonde hair in the show, but she dyed it. But God, I forgot her name on the show. It might be Kelly. I'm not sure. But isn't Mika Kelly actually an actress? I don't know. Anyway, these two characters were very, very, very interesting. You had Mika. No, wait, was Mika the oldest one or young? I don't know. Okay. The one that's on the mayor. She was cool because she kept constantly telling everybody her sister screwed up in the head. That was just cool just to hear. And then the fact that a little girl can realize this, Also, she had no problem killing zombies. She didn't, It was like this little girl was like taking a gun and just taking them out. Then you have her older sister. Now, her older sister was screwed up in the head. Her older sister loved zombies, but didn't really value human life all that much. And that was just so interesting and different. It's kind of like, and she would have made an amazing whisper. If they just would have kept her alive, she would have joined that group. But because she was a danger to the group, because she would kill people like no problem. If there was a bad guy, she would shoot him straight in the head. She didn't care. She wanted to prove to her to the group that walkers aren't that bad, so she turned her sister into one. The girl was totally screwed up in the head. Now they could have fixed that character because she was mentally ill in the head, and that would have been a great story arc. I mean, they kept other bad people alive and had them join the group, so why not her? And then they just straight up killed her and stuff. Now, one reason why they probably killed both these characters is because of child labor laws. In TV shows, you only allowed to film at a certain point in time with a child, and you can't film at night. That's why, like in the earlier seasons of The Walking Dead, when you'll see Carl, it was just like they would add like a filter, a dark filter to it during the light, because they weren't allowed to film at night. But then by the second season, at the end of the finale, I think they just said screw it and just like started filming at night. But yeah, they killed off two interesting characters. Then what do? They keep boring people around. Tara, she was so boring. Edith, she was so boring. And the thing is, both these actresses can act. I've seen them in other projects where they're a lot more interesting. And it's just that in The Walking Dead, they don't have nothing for them because The Walking Dead cast is too vast. It's too large. They need to simplify it. And then what did they do? They kept these characters around for the longest time, not having them do absolutely nothing, and then they kept them in the background. Or what they did is they paired them off with a more interesting character, but they had them more as a sidekick type role. And it was just so boring. So when both of them got piked, I was happy. That sounds messed up, but I was happy. I'm like, thank you, God, for finally getting rid of these boring characters. And they keep Father Gabriel around. He doesn't do nothing for this show. And I mean, he doesn't do nothing for the group. It took him so many seasons just for him to finally kill like a zombie. And it's like, even though now he's killing zombies, he's in this strange relationship with Rosita. Why? First of all, they're making Rosita look like a hoe. How many dudes have she been with on this show? There was Abraham. There was the dude she was just sleeping around with in Alexandria for the fun of it. Then she was in a relationship with that doctor dude, and she made a baby by him. But then for some reason she broke up with him, and now she's banging Gabriel. Like, what are they doing, man? Like, these showrunners are stupid. These writers are stupid. But back to Fear the Walking Dead. It's like, okay, so I've never particularly liked this show. I mean, I do watch it. Unlike World Beyond, I gave up on that. I just said, screw it. Now, Telltale Games, or whatever it's called, that's awesome. They need to adapt that into a TV show. But I'm afraid if they do, they're going to screw it up. Now, it's kind of like, okay, this is the reason why I'm just not particularly a fan of Fear the Walking Dead. First of all, it doesn't live up to the title. Nobody on this show is scared of zombies. Like, never. They were in the first season because, it was the beginning of the outbreak. But then by towards the end, and then in the second season, nobody was really scared of zombies no more. People were just killing them off like left and right. And it's like, aren't you supposed to be scared? Rick's group was scared for like over about like 3 seasons, And I get that this show has to be completely different from The Walking Dead. And it's like, all right, fine. And so they did the whole show what the world looked like during the outbreak in those 2 weeks. And it was kind of interesting. It was nice to see them in a big city. It was nice to see people run around. It was nice to see the military go nutty buddy. And they show one thing with the military. They always show bad military people on this show. But yeah, they showed the military going nutty buddy in the head. And then so it's kind of like, okay, well, this is interesting. It's different from the other show. But one thing they did is that they caused the group to learn too quickly. And because it took Rick's group 2 whole seasons to realize if a person just regular dies in the regular way, then they will turn into a zombie. Here, they find out very quickly. And I get it. Different people learn at different paces. But for the audience, you want to grow with those characters, especially new people watching the show. Maybe these new people watching the show never watched The Walking Dead. Maybe they don't know that, and they want to learn at a slow pace like everybody else. Also, this show was more unique when they was in the big city. But then this show started to resemble The Walking Dead once they moved them out into the woods and out in the big open. And it's kind of like, why? It's like, why would these people do the exact same thing that the Walking Dead people do in the South? These people are in the city. And I think they was in California and stuff. So why would they go out into the woods and all this and that? And then it's kind of like, when they went to when Nick went to Mexico, that was kind of interesting. And then, but the problem is they don't stay in one location for too long. This cast don't. They're constantly moving, and it's just like every season they're in a new location. When they was in that hotel, I thought, cool, they have like a place, and but then it's like they had to leave real fast. And then it's like, I liked how the killing of the walkers were more gruesome in this one, because it was more gruesome in the other show, but it took a while for the other show to get gruesome and stuff. So that was kind of like a nice little thing. But these people were too good at killing, and it made no sense. It made sense for the Walking Dead cast early in the beginning to be really good at killing, because you had two cops, you had two redneck hunter type dudes. And it's just like, you had them people teaching them, and then they became really good. And then when Michonne came in, she was like this little ninja samurai type person. But then when you come to like Fear the Walking Dead, it's like these people are just regular normal people who have normal 9 to 5 jobs, who are like teachers and counselors and principals and all this other crap, and they're killing these zombies like they're in like Resident Evil and crap. It's like they too good too fast. And then they killed off their more interesting, better characters in the beginning. They killed off Travis, Madison, which I'm pretty sure is dead. Some people say she's not, but for just argument's sake, let's say she's dead. But then again, we really don't know. But in that closing scene, she looked like she's pretty dead. And if she's not dead, where the heck has she been? Let's just get to the point of this, because I really don't feel like doing a Fear the Walking Dead review. Anyway, Dakota, she kills off, in my opinion, one of the coolest characters I've ever seen in all these Walking Dead shows. She killed a little nice person. And what totally sucks is that I actually like Dakota. And like in the first half of this season, I was actually really liking her character, because I saw it as Virginia. She has this evil sister who won't let her do nothing and micromanage everything she does. And I felt bad for Dakota, she's this sweet, innocent little girl who, just wants to escape her sister. And then they go and turn Dakota right into her sister. Dakota is now a crazy killer. And she killed this character for no apparent reason. I get she was scared this person might rat her out, but who cares, And then it's revealed that she's the one who patched Morgan up when he was at that one place and all those walkers were coming about to eat him and he was shot. She killed those walkers. She patched his wound up. She gave him the antibiotics to survive. First of all, how does this little girl know how to do all this? First of all, she's a teenager. She's 19 in real life. I don't know how old she plays on the show, but she's a teenager in real life. No, crap. She's a 19 adult in real life, but she's a teenager on this show. And so it's kind of like they never explain how she learned how to fight. They never explain how she learned how to do all this medical stuff, and we're just supposed to like buy it. So when Morgan's all like, you're lying. I was with him too. I'm like, girl, you lying, man. You just overheard him tell somebody that story and you just repeating everything he said. But then she started saying things that started making sense, and it's like, oh crap, she did save his life. And then it's like, it turned out that, okay, what was that? I think 2 episodes ago on the first half of this season, what was it? This one of Virginia's bad dudes like was killed, and then so Dakota like totally blamed it all on this one innocent lady. And it's like, first of all, Virginia loves her sister more than life, and she would do anything for this girl, even though she's evil. So even if Virginia found out Dakota killed one of her henchmen, Nothing bad would have happened. Maybe she would have got slapped in the face. Maybe she would have got sent to her room. But nothing bad would have happened. And the reason why she killed this man is because Dakota's been sneaking off and was doing whatever she wants to do. And the dude found that out. So she feared that and she killed him, which I guess is kind of justifiable in the world that they live in. And especially because he's evil. But like I said, Virginia wouldn't have cared. So why does, like, what does it matter? And now she wants to really go and live in Morgan's group. And now they have a killer. And Morgan knows this. And, and it's just kind of like, what are these writers doing? Why do they do that? Why do they always keep these bad people around living in the group? 'Cause we already know what's going to happen. She's going to turn good, just like Charlie did, who I like to rename Chuck. Because why be a Charlie when you can be a Chuck? Chuck killed Nick. And what happened? Alicia went nuts in the head, tried to kill her. And then all of a sudden she's like, I'm going to forgive you. Well, you're just a kid. And then Alicia went off and started painting on trees. And it's like, what? You letting a killer who killed your brother and betrayed your group stay in the group? Kill that girl. I feel bad for saying that, but do it. She's evil. But to tell you the truth, when it comes to Chuck, she is starting to grow on me now a little bit, because it's kind of like that's what the writers are doing. And maybe she was just confused and brainwashed by that evil group she was with. And so she felt like she had to prove herself to them. But still, man, it's just like the whole Negan thing. Kill Negan already. Like, stop trying to make us sympathize with him. Wait, is he still alive or not? I don't know. I haven't watched that season finale yet. I'm about to, but I don't want to. Speaking of which, this show loves to turn its kids evil, I noticed. Travis' son started off good, then his mom died, and he turned evil. Then they killed him off. Let's see who else. Them kids that were living on their own. First of all, what happened to them? Like, seriously, what happened to these group of kids? They was introduced in one season. They were interesting. They betrayed our group. It turned out they're not as bad as people thought they were. They're just scared and confused. But what happened to them? Like, seriously, just what happened to them? Once they went with Virginia people, they just, disappeared. Chuck, we thought she was good, and turned out she was bad. And then, now she's good again. And it's just like, they love turning these kids evil, man. I don't get it. Nick's not really evil or bad, I should say. He's more hard-headed and a rebel. His drug problem and stuff. But he's never really betrayed the group, even though he did hang out with a really bad dude one time. But it's just like they love turning these young people bad. I know what you're wondering. Well, who did they kill off? I'm gonna get to that. Instead of killing off this good character, they have so many lame people on Fear the Walking Dead. They could have off one of those people, and I would have been happy. Except for Morgan. Even though Morgan has become a lame character on this show, he's still Morgan, and I want him to go back to The Walking Dead. And I want him to reunite with Rick, which it broke my heart when he said John was his best friend on this show. I'm just like, dude, you haven't even known John that long. And then it's kind of like, I just want you and Rick to be friends, man. I know y'all don't always see eye to eye, but at some point in time, y'all are gonna have to, You're gonna have to be on the same page eventually. The Alicia character. Now, okay, the actress. I like the actress a lot. I first saw her in The 100 as Alexa. So I know she can act, and I know that she can be a likable person. The only problem with this show is that it's like they write the worst stuff for her. In the beginning, she was just a know-nothing character who just did whatever her mom said. And then it's like she made the biggest mistake when she started talking to the pirates on the intercom. And then it's just like she just goes with the motions. And then it's just like she always has this blank expression on her face because they don't write nothing for her. And then they finally started showing her skills, and she started killing zombies. But then they went and made her a boring character again. But then in that one season, I think it was season 4, because the thing about this show has always struggled in the ratings, which is why Morgan came over. And when they changed the format of the show, it really was for the better at first. in the first half of like the fourth season, it was cool. It was interesting. It was like, what is this big secret? Like, what happened to Nick and Madison? And then we find out what happened to them. And then after we find out, then the show started to suck. So then it's like they turned to Alicia cool in the first half of that season, and then she got even more interesting because she wanted to kill Chuck after that. But then after she forgave Chuck, it just like she became like her boring little self again. And then on top of that, then she met this dude where now she's just painting on trees. Really? That's what you're doing now? There's zombies everywhere. There's living people who want to kill you and stuff just for the fun of it, and you're painting on trees. Painting on trees. Come on, man. The writers need to do better. Then there's Daniel. Daniel is just I don't care for Daniel because he always disappears. First he's in the show for one season, then the next season and a half of it he disappears, and then he's back again, and then he disappears, and then he's back again. And it's just like, just keep him on the show or keep him off the show. Pick one, man. And now they got him playing around with a stupid cat. I don't care about that. He was more interested when he was interrogating the military dude and torturing him. And I thought for sure he died in season 2, but he didn't. And then all these other times you think he died and he didn't. So it's just like, what are they doing with this character? It's like, it's just like they keep playing the same trick on us over and over with this character. Strand. I've never liked Strand. Strand is just he's in it for himself. He only looks after himself. He constantly betrays our group because he's trying to survive himself. And it's like once they do start to turn him good, he betrays everybody again. It's like, why would you keep this character around and you know he's just going to betray you? Madison and her daughter was so stupid for constantly keeping this dude around because he just betrays them like time and time again. He's only in it for himself. Madison was a character I've always liked because she was kind of like the Rick Grimes of this show. She was the leader of her group, which it kind of took a while to figure out who was the leader. It was either her and Travis, but then we found out it was actually her. And she did whatever it took to keep her family safe and alive. She even banished her son because he was too much of a liability because he's too much of a rebel. That takes guts, And it's like she was cool, and then they killed her off, supposedly. Travis was just one of those historic type guys who cared about people and would do whatever it had to take. And then when they found out that his son died, well, his son was evil anyway, but he found out them kids killed his son, he went nuts. And then after that, they just killed them off. I think he requested to leave the show. And the way they killed them off was just so shocking. It's just like, ugh, why would you do that? I think her name is Althea. They call her Al. She's a weird character. So I don't really care too much for her because they kind of just ruined her character with her being obsessed with the tapes. And it was the dumbest storyline ever. And when we found out the reason why she's so obsessed with them, it just made her character even more lame. The only cool thing that was ever cool about her, when she had that military vehicle tank truck type thing, that was the only thing cool about her character. And yes, I truly feel like she should have been cast as Batwoman instead of Ruby Rose. And when Ruby Rose left the show, I said they should have recast her with this actress, and they never did. And it was so stupid of them to not, first of all, cast her as Batwoman or recast her as Batwoman because one, she looks like Ruby Rose. Two, she already plays a lesbian on this show, even though she's not in real life, so she wouldn't have had no problem doing that on the other show. And three, she can actually act, and Ruby can't. I'm not trying to bash Ruby, but they should have went with, I think her name is Maggie Green. I'm not really sure her real name is in real life, but June? I don't like June. June's I didn't even know her real name was. Why did they do that in the beginning? They were doing the whole junkyard lady thing because June is a combination of the junkyard lady and Father Gabriel from The Walking Dead, and it's just I don't care for this character. I like her a little bit more now because she's the only person who will stand up to Virginia. She will. She almost killed Virginia. She smacked Virginia on the hand just to take the walkie-talkie from her. And Virginia just let her. And this is not Virginia. Virginia is actually a cool villain. That's what I would say about her. I don't like her only because she is the villain, but she's a great villain for the show. But Virginia don't play. But for some reason, she lets June do whatever she wants. Daniel's daughter, whose name I have forgotten because it's been that long, she was a boring character. Like, they bring her in, she disappears for an entire season. They bring her back, only for her to turn into like a villain. Then they try to give her a redeeming arc, and then they kill her. And it's like, ugh, you know? It's like, but they killed her off because she was a lame character. Nick's girlfriend, whose name I don't know because I forgot. And I forgot because they don't do nothing with this character. This character is the most boring person on this show. She doesn't do anything. She barely says anything. And it's just like she's just going through the motions of just being on the show just for the sake of being on the show. And it's like she was more interesting when she was with Nick in season 2. But then after he died, it's just like they can't find nothing for this woman to do. Then there's Mo Collins' character. See, I have to like name these people other stuff or by their real name because I don't know their name. And this is how uninteresting they are. She's an uninteresting character. She makes wide-cracking jokes, and then she keeps talking about beer this and beer that, and it's just like, why are you here? Why are you with this group? Like, why? You're not an interesting character at all. And it's just like they're not writing nothing good for these characters. Then there's her brother, which I want to know how they're related, because they're two different races. Are they adopted or what? I don't know. But he's the dude in the wheelchair. I don't know his name, and I have to call him dude in a wheelchair, which I kind of feel bad for doing because that sounds messed up. But like, his character is uninteresting. And it's like, where is he at? He hasn't been shown since Virginia people took him. Is the actor like on a different show? I don't know. And I'm not making fun of this actor whatsoever because, you know, he actually did have a real life injury that caused him to be in a wheelchair. He wasn't always in a wheelchair. I believe he's a comedian and stuff, but it's like they're not doing nothing for him on this show. And one of the reasons probably is because he's in fact in a wheelchair. There's not much he can do. They're out in the dirt all the time, so that's gonna mess up his tires where he can't like move. And it's just like there's nothing with this character. He's just there for the sake of being there because the writers can't come up with nothing good. Chuck, I've already said, kill it off because she killed Nick. But I am starting to like, you know, warm up to her, but she doesn't do anything. Like that one episode, I think right before the mid-season finale, she was just popping in and out that house like a super spy. And I'm just like, how is this girl doing that? Because they tried to make her character interesting, but it just came off as lame because they couldn't explain it. Nick was an interesting character, but Nick always got on my nerves only because he was the rebel who just wanted to do whatever he wanted to do, and it just put the group's life in jeopardy. And he was like always on drugs, and then when he got off drugs, he became more interesting, but then he got back on drugs again. And it's just like he was a really cool, interesting character, but then they just straight up killed him off because the actor was done with the show. And then there's Grace. I don't really care for this character. She's a little bit more interesting when she does the science stuff, but she really doesn't do it no more because now she's pregnant with Morgan's child. It's like they went that route. Those two clickety clacked and made a baby. And it's just like, was that supposed to make her character more interesting? No, because you sidelined her. She's 7 months pregnant right now. And Virginia keeps threatening to kill her and stuff, so she's probably gonna die. Or if she doesn't die of that, she'll probably die in childbirth. But you know, she's a boring character who's a love interest, so you know they're always gonna get rid of that person, you know? And I like the actress. Like when she was in Gallivant, she was so cool, you know? It's just like they don't do nothing for her on this show. And it's just like, this show has the worst writers. And you know the problem is, then there's Dwight. Kill him already. Kill him off the show. He's a bad person. He did bad stuff when he was on The Walking Dead for Negan. Kill him off already. Why are you trying to redeem Scarface for? Why? Like, he was more interesting when he interacts with Daryl. And when he was actually doing bad stuff, he was a little bit more interesting because they actually gave him something to do. Now that he's a sap, he's just a sap. And he needs to die for all the bad stuff he has done with Negan. Kill him off already. Which now is time to get who they killed off. And really pissed me off and my jaw literally dropped. Because in case you haven't noticed, I've went through the entire cast, and there's only one person left. And that person left is John. They killed John. John was such a cool character. He was always nice. He never flip-flopped through personalities and turned either evil. He never turned nutty buddy in the head. He's always remained that nice person. And when we first got introduced to him, he found Morgan, and he was just telling Morgan, look, man, I'm all on my own and everything. I'm just looking for some people to hang with, two heads are better than one type thing. And Morgan was doing his whole, nah, man, I gotta like be by myself, and I don't like making friends no more, blah, blah, blah. But he really worked on Morgan to the point where Morgan accepted him, and then Morgan created his own group. And it's just like, he was just like this cool character. He was kind of similar to Rick. He's a former cop. He has a revolver pistol for a weapon. And, he always did these cool gunslinging, like Wild Wild West cowboyish type stuff, because that's what he was. Like Rick was the redneck and John was the cowboy. And, he always did like these cool things. Like you don't see cool, like, gun tricks no more with revolver pistols and stuff. You don't see that no more. Like the twirling around and, the shooting near the side. And, you just don't see that no more because there aren't no more Western shows. Speaking of which, why are so many shows pretending to be like a Western now? I've been noticing that. When Fear the Walking Dead changed their format, they had this weird filter on it. And then it wasn't really a Western then. But then by season 5 and 6, it turned into like a Western. And I just don't understand why. Also, The Mandalorian is like a space Western. Why is everybody trying to be a Western all of a sudden? Is it because of what's that show called? Is it Westworld? That show about like, oh, it's like a Western with like these robots and all this other stuff. Like, I don't know. But it's like they killed him off. Like he was such a great character. He never went out his way to harm nobody. He always tried to get the group back together. He even accepted the crazy June and all her multiple personality names and stuff. I mean, he fell in love with her. And it's just, he was just a straight up nice dude. But then once he got separated from the group, it started to weigh on him a little bit. He missed June, he missed his friends. And then when June rejected him, she wanted to stay with Virginia, it's just kind of like, he's lost everything. And then in this episode, he just wanted to commit suicide over and over and over again. And it was like a really weird, traumatic type episode. And then it's kind of like, even though he wanted to die, he clearly wanted to die in the beginning of this episode. But then, towards the end, you saw he didn't twice. Because when he was on the bridge and he was fighting those zombies, you saw a couple of them tried to like chew on him and he was just fighting them off. And it's kind of like, well, if he wanted to die so bad, why he just didn't let them bite him? I get it. He made a word to Morgan and he'll help him across. But still, then like when Dakota pulled a gun on him, he's like, okay, whatever, I'll do what you say, I'll go with y'all and stuff like that. He clearly wanted to live at that point because he finally, got over his whole like suicidal thoughts and decided, it's worth living instead of trying to kill yourself. And then she just straight up shoots him. And then she pushes him in the water. And then he drowns and have this weird hallucination. And then he's on the raft. And then they set it up to where you think he's gonna live. You think he's gonna survive. Because they like to play tricks like this on The Walking Dead all the time. Come on, like, oh yeah, he's gonna live. Then June finds him. And then we slowly see him move. I'm like, okay, well, he got shot. So that's why he's moving slow. But then I'm like, oh, they fake out stuff all the time on The Walking Dead. With the whole Glendale. So he's fine. And then he raises his head up and he's zombified. I'm just like, oh my God. I was just shocked. I was shocked. I was like, no, You had so many boring characters you could have killed off, and you killed the nice dude who's always nice to everybody, even the bad people he's nice to. Like, you killed him off? Like, why? And so it's like, okay, I can give them credit for having the balls to do that, because that's old school Walking Dead for you. And that's what the old school Walking Dead that pisses people off so much, you know? But it does make the story a little bit more interesting when they kill off main character, but don't kill off like the good people. It's like kill off the lame, boring ones, man. I don't know if the actor wanted to die or wanted to leave the show or not, but it's just like him. Ah, like that just pisses me off. Like it's just like I don't care. Like, I do care what happens. I want to know what this whole Virginia thing is about and what this like people she fears. What is this like big secret that like Virginia has, and who are these people that she's terrified of? Like, is it the helicopter people that have Rick? Probably. Also, what is this whole thing Morgan's building towards? You know, is he building for a community? He's gonna build himself an Alexandria or something like that. Because they already said that The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead will not cross over. So it's like whatever. And then so like but I swear to God, man. Alicia and Morgan are my last straw. If they get rid of those characters, I'm done with this show because I could find something more interesting to watch, It's us, the fans. We gave these people too much credit when the show was good. Like, I get it. When it was good in its heyday, we praised them, you know what I'm saying? But then, once the writers started doing dumb stuff, lame and boring stuff, and fans did not call them out on it, then they're like, oh, well, we got away with this. I wonder what else we can get away with. Or clearly they like this, so let's keep doing more of it, And it's like, no, when these shows mess up, you have to call them out on it. Because then someone will be like, okay, we'll fix it, Like the people at CBS Star Trek Discovery, the fans have complained. They tried to fix it, but then they end up making things worse. But at least they tried. But then they end up making things worse, That's not because people at CBS are just idiots. Plain simple as that, Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.